Hello and welcome again to another version 2 of the Dragon Age toolset video tutorials by SilentCid. Here today we're going to be working on conversations. With conversations, we'll be able to set up dialogue between our quest giver and our player character. So let's begin. We're going to go to File, New, Conversation, and let's go ahead and name this conversation Convo _Sergi version 2. And it'll take a moment to load up. And it'll bring in the conversation editor. Now you'll see stuff here. It will say root. The reason why it says root because it actually branches off into a tree-like structure. And I'll show you a little bit more in just a moment. But first, we do need to add in our very first line. So all we have to do is either click on this part right here in the toolbar where it says insert line. It'll be a bubble with a plus sign. Or we can right click, insert line, or hit Control A. Now you see if I deselect owner, it'll be in red. Owner means whoever we assign the conversation resource file to, which will be our quest giver. So he'll be represented as owner. So let's give our owner, our quest giver, some dialogue to say to our player character. So click on the editing tab and let's type in his first line. Excuse me, my lord, but this hut is infested with hut monsters. There you go. We have added our very first dialogue for our quest giver. Now let's go ahead and give our player character a list of options to say as the response to this first line. So we're going to go ahead and insert line, and we're going to do it again. Insert line after. Oop, actually hit escape. Let's do insert line after here. So now if you look at it, if you just picture it in your head, if you're talking to an NPC, you have now two options to choose from to respond to this line right here. So let's go ahead and add in the first response, which would be if you click on the editing part and the end dialogue, we're going to add in the player character response, infested with hut monsters. And let's go ahead and click on the other option and let's add in hut monsters. You got to be joking. Now we want the owner to respond again, so we're going to go ahead and work off the very first line, and we're going to insert line. Now it brings it back to as owner, and we're going to go back to the editing tab, and we're going to go ahead and add in another line. Yes, they came in the middle of the night and really tore the place up good. And now we'll go back to this line one more time, and instead of adding a whole bunch of dedicated stuff for this line, we actually want to tie it up to for this dialogue. And to do that, all we have to do is right click on this particular line, copy, click on this line to highlight, right click, paste as a link. Now if I deselect this, you'll see that the owner tag is not red anymore, but it's actually gray. The reason why it's gray is because if we click on this line and we right click jump to target, it's actually going to tell the game that it wants this line to be said instead. So it actually jumps back up. So it doesn't really matter if we choose option 1 or option 2, it's always going to be saying this line. So let's go ahead and branch off this line again. We're either going to say go on. We confirm that he was talking to us, or we can insert line after. Instead of having to listen through all his dialogue, we can say, yeah, you know what? I can go over there and defeat those hut monsters. So let's go ahead and add that line for him. So we'll go edit, or the editing tab. And we're going to say, do you want me to slay all of them. And let's go ahead and branch off this line first. I'll say owner. I would clear them out myself, but there are too many for me to handle. If you'd care to clear them out, I'd have a reward for you. And let's go ahead and branch off this again. Let's just finish this little section here, and then we'll branch off this a little bit later. So let's give our choices here. Sure, I can do this for you. And let's give another option. Maybe we don't want to really accept this quest. If it's just too much for us to handle right now, we'll say sorry. Oop. Sorry. But I have to get going. It's also okay to type in the dialogue section too. It doesn't really matter so much. And now let's insert line for this, because this is where we're accepting the quest. He's going to get excited, so we're going to go ahead and type in wonderful. Just let me know once you've wiped them out. And then insert line, and it's going to be an end dialogue because we're not going to have the owner reply to us after this. And I like to do act, continue, act, or enact. What this does, it puts the word continue in italics, kind of showing up like it's an action. It doesn't really have, since you know your character or your player character doesn't really show much emotions, we can just say continue to confirm that we have actually listened to what he has to say, and then we be bounced back out to the exploration mode. So these set of lines for go on, if I close this out, are complete. But let me go ahead and finish this up because we didn't finish this just yet. So we're going to insert line, and he's going to say, hey, pity. Well, if you change your mind, I'll be right here. And then we need to end this line with the end dialogue. And I like to do action, continue, and action. Oops, sorry, my hand's a little bit cold here. And then now these set of lines are done. So we just go ahead down to the next line. So we don't have to say all, or have him say all this and have us click all this stuff. We can instantly tell him, hey, you know, you take an initiative. Let me kill all those people, or all those hut monsters. So let's go ahead and insert this line, this new line for that, and we'll say, sure, if you feel up to it, I'll give you some kind of reward once you've cleaned them out. And then we have to end dialogue. So I like to do again, continue. Come on. There we go. So these set of lines are done, and I like to kind of close them out once I'm done here. So we pretty much got our first set of dialogue, and we're going to expand on here with a middle portion, an ending portion, and then a line after all the quests are done for our quest giver. Alright, we have finished our first section of our dialogue. Now we're going to go more complex with this. We're going to add in another line from this owner one, and we're going to insert a line after. And you'll see that the owner is, there's two owners and not like an end dialogue. That's because we're going to set up a middle section for our dialogue. And it'll start playing out into play as we go along with this. And this line will serve if a condition, if the player character refused the quest in these set of dialogues. And instead of the owner saying it all over again, he's just going to say this line, and this line won't be active anymore. He'll only say this if he has not accepted the quest. So let's go ahead and we're going to say, so given any more thought on clearing those hut monsters for us. As you can see, it sort of makes sense because we don't want him to say all these lines again. So we're going to go ahead and set up our conditions, insert line after. So we're going to have two options, either a yes, I'm going to accept it, and a no, I'm not going to accept your quest just yet. And we're going to say, sure, I can do this for you, or sorry, but I have to get going. So if he does accept the quest, let's add in the owner's reply to that. He'll say, wonderful, just let me know once you've wiped them out. And then we'll go ahead and insert line to end the dialogue. And I like to do this, continue. End dialogue, or yep, and action. Now these set of lines are done. So let's go ahead and add in a line right here, and we'll put a pity. Well, if you change your mind, I'll be right here. And we'll insert a line to end the dialogue, which I like to do in action, continue, and action. And now these set of lines are done. Just double check to see if it has the end dialogues, so there's no owner just being the only line to have, which looks perfectly fine. Now we're going to add in a third line, and this will be a line condition where if we have accepted quest, he wants to know if we have completed it. So again, go back to owner, insert line after, and we're going to go ahead and add in, so cleared out all of those hut monsters yet. And let's go ahead and add in the conditions. So we're going to add in two options here, which will be a no and a yes. And we're going to add in, oops, dialogue here for yes, I have. And now we're going to go ahead and add in the sort of conditions here. We're going to insert line for no, I have not, and he's going to say just let me know once you've wiped them out. And with the yes one, we want to have another line here. Oh, let's go ahead and complete this real quick. So, we have to have the end dialog, so let's enter one more line, and let's just do an act continue. Come on. Like I said, my hand's a little bit cold, hard to type. So we have the end dialog. Let's go back to this line and let's add in. Great. Here is your reward. Thank you for doing away with all those bloody monsters. Maker bless you in your travels. And we're going to make sure we add in the end dialog part. Normally, or from what I gathered from somebody else who told me, you don't have to necessarily put this at continue. You could end it with just the end dialog. But for some odd reason, when I'm in a conversation, it doesn't really want to end the dialogue. I'm not sure it's due to the fact that there's at the time when I did this, there wasn't voiceovers, but by adding this, it gives you that option to hit a button to end the dialogue and throw you back into the Explorer mode instead of having to hit escape, because that's the only option you have. So it's just better to add this in for now. Now, since we have done all this for the if you have accepted the quest, let's go ahead, add in one more line. It's your line after, and this is going to be a condition to where if we have completed the quest, it'll see that we have completed the quest, and it won't bring us back to another dialogue mode. It'll just bring us to where it'll show text over his head that you have completed, or it'll pretty much say a one-liner that you know, thank you for doing away all those hut monsters. And that's another example I'm just going to show you instead of having to bring yourself back into a dialogue mode. So, thank you for doing away with all those bloody monsters. Maker bless you in your travels. Now, if you go to plots and script in here and put ambient, we don't have to worry about ending the conversation with an end dialogue. It will just show us clicking on the quest giver, and this line will always pop up above his head if there's no voiceover. So we're pretty much done with our conversations. As you can see, it turned out to be a very complex part with multiple lines to say, and it will all come to play in a moment here, but we do need to add in a few more things, and then we'll be able to see it inside the game. Alright, we have completed the conversation between our player character and our quest giver. Now it's time to create what we call the plot resource. With the plot resource, we'll be able to make the conversation flow more naturally, as well as set up the tracking for our quests, as well as give the reward for our player character. So let's begin by going to File, New, Plot, and let's type in clear the hut to, hit OK. I'm going to hit cancel since I already created this. And you're going to see the editor pop up for you, and you won't see any of these flags. So we're going to add in those flags by hitting Insert Main Flag from the toolbar, or right-clicking Insert Main Flag, or you can do Control M. Just about 5 times will be fine. And from here, we want to make sure everything's caps locked when we're doing this, and all the underscores. And just click on each of the flags. It'll give you a cursor, and just type in what you see right here, and you can you can go ahead and pause the video to do this. Once that's done, let's go ahead and go to quest accepted, and this will be the very first entry that will be posted in your journal when we accept the quest. And when you click on the main flag for request accepted, it'll get the option of typing in the journal text. And just go ahead and type in this line: you have accepted a quest to clear a small hut of the monsters that are infesting it. Now go ahead to the monster slain. We're going to type in: you have slain all the remaining monsters from inside the hut. Return to Sergi for your reward. Once you have typed that in, we are going to go to rewards received, and we're going to type in the journal text: you have completed the clearing the hut quest for Sergi. Now there's one more thing that we need to do for the rewards received, is make sure that where it says final, it's going to say no for default. We want to make sure that says yes, because this is going to throw it into the completed section of our quest, or in our journal quest section, the completed section. Once that's done, go ahead, hit save for now. We're going to create another plot resource, so go ahead and create plot and just name it Deep in the Wilds version 2. And right here we don't need to add in additional stuff other than in the object inspector. We're going to go for where it says plot, and we're going to do plot group. We're going to name this resource to Deep in the Wilds. Just hit enter. We're not going to have any plot, parent plot or priority. Priority is how it's going to be listed in your quest journal, from how immediate that you need to do, whatnot. This is more for sorting purposes. And we're just going to keep everything like this. Hit save. Let's go back to the clear the hut 2, and we're going to put in here, if you didn't in the object inspector, make sure you add in the name clearing the hut. That's going to show up when soon as we accept the quest. It's going to show this text here. We also want to put parent plot. It's going to say none. Go ahead and select Deep in the Wilds version 2, and that's going to give us a category section for our journal entry. Without this parent plot, it's going to say uncategorized quest, and that's going to look kind of cheesy when you're playing your module, or any other people playing your module. So it's best to have your parent plot here. You can always branch off from multiple quests from your parent plot for any particular area that you're working on, so that it makes it nice and neat in your quest journal. So we're pretty much done with our plots. Go ahead and hit save. Now it's time to punch in all of these main flags in our conversation resource, and it's going to play a big part in it. As you can see here, when I click on our conversation resource, if you don't have your conversation resource, just make sure you go to your palette window, conversation, and just double click on it. You're going to see here it says AC CCC. If I click on it and go to plots and scripting, on our first line, go ahead and select your plot clearing the hut 2, or whatever you named it as, and hit OK. I'm going to hit cancel since I already have it, and then from the drop down menu, choose your plot, and it's going to give you a list of flags to choose from. If you click flags, you're going to have all the flags that you created in the plot resource to choose from. We're going to pick Talk to Sergi is false, and we don't have to click on the triple dots for the action since we already added this in. We can just go from the drop down menu and choose it from there, and then we're going to do Talk to Sergi again is set. The reason why we're setting this is because we don't want our quest giver to say the same lines over and over again, because he gets kind of tired. So we want him to say the first line one time only. If you accept the quest, if If you didn't set up the quest, he's going to only say the second line, and the first line is only going to be a one-time deal. So if you have not set up the quest, he's going to ask if you give it any thought if you want to clear those hut monsters for him. But if you accepted the quest, this is the only line that's going to be popping up. So you cleared out those hut monsters yet? Which makes perfect sense if you accepted your quest. And then the fourth line is going to be if you've done everything. He's not going to give you any more quests, and this is the only option to choose from when you're clicking on the creature or quest giver. So just think of it in your head like imaginary journal entry of flag, and it's going to say is false, and on here it's going to say is false. So if two of them equal together, is false, that equals, and so this line is going to be played for the first time, but it's also going to set it so that this line will never play again. It's only a one-time deal. I'm going to click on here to see if any other options we can choose from, or any options or any conditions or actions we have put in place. And if you can see here, he's talking about the quest. We said yes, we'll do this for you, and the owner says wonderful, just let me know if you wipe him out. He's going to give us the quest. Just make sure you just go from the drop down menu, pick your plot, and the flag quest accepted is set. So he's given us this, and he'll update in our quest journal. And we also want to put talk to Sergi again is set, so that the second line right here, if I just shrink this down, since this is only for if we didn't accept the quest, we want to make sure this is the only line to show. And pretty much it's the other lines are done the same manner. You got the quest is accepted is set, and talk to Sergi again is set. So you want to do it from here too, and here too, and go ahead and pause this video so that you got it all perfect on these 4 lines, and that should complete the first part, or the first main section of our conversation. So if we go down to the second section of this owner one, it has a condition. Talk to Sergi again is false. If we have not accepted a quest, that will be in our journal entry. It'll say is false, and this will say it's false. The two will add up, it will equal together. So this line will play out. It gives us a list of options. And the same thing, quest is accepted is set, and talk to Sergi again is set. And none are played right here, so none of the flags get touched. So this line will be said over and over again until you have accepted the quest. So this second section is done. Third section is when the quest is in progress, and you can see a conditions already in place right here. Clear the hut, rewards received is false, because we have not accepted a reward just yet because the quest is still in progress. This line will play. So make sure you drop down menu, clear the hut, rewards received is false. And then go down to each of these lines here, and you can see that there's a condition on yes I have, and monster slain is true. The reason why we want this condition on here and monster slain is true is because we don't want the player character to try to get a freebie reward from our quest giver if he has not cleared any of the hut monsters. So we don't want this option to be selected until he has cleared the hut monsters. So if you just think it in your head, like if this line comes in play, this particular one won't show until monster slain is true. Then we have another action. As you can see, great, here's your reward. If you go down here, rewards received is set. And then the conversation ends. So if we go back to the third line again, rewards received is false. if you look in the journal entry, the reward received is true. Those two don't equal each other. Therefore, it's going to ignore this line and go to the fourth and last line, reward received is true, which is, it doesn't take you to the dialogue mode. It's just going to be saying this line over and over again on the top of his head. So we're pretty much set up with the plots and pretty much set up the quest portions of our conversation, and the flow of it is looking more better now. There's one more thing I like to do here, and for this particular line, if you see, actually, let's go over here. Sure, I can do this for you. If you see this line in the very first section, let's go ahead and add in a auto save. To do that, we need to add in a generic plot, and this has already been created through the Dragon Age toolset. It already has it in there. So just click on the triple dots. Let's go ahead to global, generic, and we want the Gen 00 PT generic actions. And you're going to see a list of flags to choose from. If you go to Gen Autosave, it's going to, if you make it sure that it, actually we want the action. So just click on none for the plot. We want action actually. Generic actions, autosave is true. That way it automatically saves for us as soon as we have accepted a quest, which is a good idea, because what happens if our player character dies? We don't want him to talk to this guy all over again. It's just going to get him mad. So it's a good idea to set up an autosave for this section too. Alright, that's pretty much done for the compensation side of things. We have created our quest. The quest is not fully complete because now we have to do a little bit of scripting to make sure that the monster slain flag actually turns from false to true, so that the conversation will work naturally. Just save everything that you have here, and let's go ahead and add this to our quest giver. We want him to be able to use this inside the game, so double click on your quest giver by going to the palette window, creatures, and let's go to where it says conversation none. Let's choose Convo Sergi. You might have version 2. I accidentally deleted mine, so I had to recreate it. Hit OK and save your character. We're now ready to export this to try it out inside the game. So go ahead and close your quest giver out. Go to all in the palette window. Now it's time to highlight everything here, and sometimes you gotta go a little bit quick and export without dependent resources. See if there's any errors on your log window. These two ones are perfectly fine with the SilentCid issue. And now we'll be able to see the changes inside the game, and let's hope that everything's working out okay. Alright, we're inside the game. Let's go ahead and see the changes that we have created. You see Sergi has now an icon that you can interact with. And let's see if we can get the quest in our quest journal. Saving the game, it gives us our quest. If we click on the quest, it does have our header here, the parent plot, so it has it in a category, and you can see clearing the hut and the journal entry for that. We won't be able to clear or complete our quest because we are missing one flag that has to be set up by a script. So if we go back to him, would he say the first line since we have accepted the quest? No, it actually skipped the second line since we have accepted the quest, and it went to the third line, or third main line, and doesn't give us the option to hit yes I have, because we have not cleared out the hut monsters yet. So we're only able to see no, I have not. And we can keep on doing this, and he's not going to budge until we have completed the quest. So you can see now with the plots, it's coming into light to where it's more fluid of a conversation. Something that you would see in the main campaign, how stuff are being accepted and whatnot. So this is pretty much it for this video, and we'll see you on the next one.